Hello, thank you so much for joining us today. We have a great webinar planned for you. We'll be focusing today on practical Copilot uses in M365 and Teams. I'm sure you've all heard a lot about Copilots and how, there's a lot of information in the news right now, but we're really going to be focused on real world practical uses that actually benefit your business. So before we get things kicked off today, just a couple of housekeeping items I wanted to cover. First of all, we will keep this high level. There's so much that we can dive into as we discuss copilots, and we're going to, in the interest of time, keep this a little bit more high level, but anyone interested in diving in a little bit deeper and discussing your specific use cases, we certainly recommend a one-on-one conversation afterwards, and we can do one-on-one demos as well, of course. Also, feel free to ask questions as we go through. We love to hear from you and get your questions. Happy to answer those as we go. And lastly, this will be recorded. So we'll be uploading this to our YouTube channel as well as to our website. And if you've pre-registered for this, you will also be receiving an email with the recording. So no need to take notes. You will be getting a copy of this recording. Now, without any further ado, I'd like to go ahead and introduce our CEO, Scott Restivo, who will be sharing all about Copilot with us today. Scott, what do you have for us?
Oh, hi. Hi, Krista. Thank you for that introduction. I do want to make it clear that we're talking about Copilot as we developed it in Crow Canyon called NITRO Copilot. You'll see that it's somewhat related to Microsoft 365 and all their world of Copilots, but it's not using that directly. So just to be clear about that, and it'll get more clear as we go through the webinar, what the distinction is here. So what we're going to go over is NITRO Copilot. First, introduce a little bit of the company. Crow Canyon's been around 25 years. We've been doing development on business process automation for a long, long time. And our latest projects is this NITRO Intelligence platform. We have our NITRO Studio Forms and Workflow solution. We have NITRO Copilot, which we'll talk about today. We have general NITRO AI services, where we'll help you set up AI solutions at your organization. And we have our applications, our NITRO applications, which have been the mainstay of our business for many, many years, such as the help desk, purchasing, asset management, equipment management, project management, request management, many, many business process automation tools, and quite popular and quite an extensive range of them. And now we're adding AI to them. We call it IBPA, Intelligent Business Process Automation. We've been doing business process automation, well known, how to automate business, drive efficiency, streamline operations, all those kind of things. And now adding AI services puts a whole new level on it. AI capabilities, the copilots, and also things that are embedded in the application itself that make it even more powerful. And we'll go through some of that today in this webinar. It's really in a rapidly evolving field, quite exciting, and there's many things we can do, and we're glad to be at the forefront of all this and bringing that to our customers and the people who use our services or our applications, or our Copilot or our Studio. It's all about helping you run your business better, provide better service to your customers, your employees, or members if you're a nonprofit, or whatever your organization is, help you run more efficiently and drive productivity, power up your productivity there. So it's all about intelligent business process automation. Okay. We are based in California. We're a California certified small business. We're also a Microsoft preferred partner, and we have a GSA contract in case anyone is interested in those kind of certifications. You also can find a lot of reviews about us online. So that said, let's jump right into ways we are using AI currently. Now, as I said, we have a base of applications already going, and we have the NITRO Studio, but we're talking in this webinar about ways we're using AI to enhance what those applications and Studio and what really can be done with AI. So NITRO Copilot, our focus is on using your data, your targeted data, and I'll explain that more a little bit, to provide concise, synthesized answers to staff and users. And this really helps drive productivity in the sense that things get done quicker, users get answers they need, staff can generate emails and do all kinds of fun stuff with AI that helps them do their job better, reducing the workload and making responses more quick, more rapid, more responsive activity. Now we're also working with AI agents. AI agents is kind of new, the agentic framework. We haven't quite, that's kind of a nascent thing that we're just evolving into, and we're going to be doing a lot more work on that over the next year. Just want to mention that. We'll have these AI first responders, meaning that when somebody creates a request or a ticket or an issue, a complaint, any kind of inquiry into your system, we can look at the sentiment, what's the tone of the email? Is it, highly agitated? Is it sound like it's urgent or not? And that could take certain actions based on the sentiment analysis. We can generate email responses. We can auto-categorize it, prioritize it, or route it based on content of the request using AI to kind of analyze it and give what direction it should go in. And we call also staff augmentation. So you got user capabilities where they're answering questions, getting their questions answered, getting their needs met through AI to some degree. And then we also have the staff using AI in order to say you have to generate an email or you have to respond to a question or query from a user. The staff can use the AI also, the Copilot, to bring solutions right up there and send them right out to the user. It makes it very quick and easy to answer some questions without having to search through a whole large set of documents or whatever. So with that said, I'm just gonna go right into Copilot. Like Krista said, there's enormous amount of detail and nuances to all this. And I'd be very glad to talk to anybody at all about this in deep detail. We're gonna keep it kind of high level just because of that reason. It's kind of like saying like this. You can sit around and talk about, I don't know, say a song like Bob Dylan's song or something. I don't know if it's that movie lately, so I was thinking about it, Complete Unknown. Anyway, we can sit around talking about, oh, what chord structure is that? Or how do you, what instruments were played? Or we can just listen to the music. So if somebody's really interested in the geeky side of things, let's talk. We love talking about it. It's a really fascinating field. We have James here who's leading our AI services on the call, be able to answer your questions. We can set up a separate call and talk to you about all the down level detail of how this is done. Just like music, you might talk about all the structure of the music and the chords and all the other instruments. Well, that's all interesting. But in here, we're talking about the music and what play and what effect it has on users and staff. So we'll go right into with that said, I'll go right into the Copilot. So we're using the Copilot technology, really AI technology, what Microsoft provides with Azure OpenAI and other tools. We're not using the Microsoft 365 Copilot. We have ways we can, if that's your thing you want to do, you're using Microsoft 365 Copilot throughout your organization. But I think most people are hesitant on it or finding I don't know. You can tell me your opinion. People are not jumping up and down excited. Some people get it, some don't. I don't know. But again, it's $30 per user per month. It's 100 users, 3,000 a month. It's not cheap. So people are still a little wary of jumping into that pool, I think. But meanwhile, we're plowing ahead with using the underlying technology, which is open to use, Azure OpenAI and the way we do our workflows and all the stuff we've been doing for so many years. We know how to make it all work. So that we built these NITRO Copilots that are very cost effective and efficient and useful and practical, as Krista was saying. And we have these in use already, finding a lot of good results, people reducing their staff load, users getting responses quicker. So what we do here is we use this idea of a targeted data set, meaning that you have a specific set of data, documents really, is mostly what it is, but it could be data. And specifically, we're focusing more on document libraries inside of SharePoint, which are essentially OneDrive folders, and same idea. So it's a set of documents, whether PDF, docs, could even be spreadsheets, could be all kinds of whatever documents are in there, but it's targeted. This is versus an open data set. And that's one of the problems that people are having when they're using something like M365 Copilot or other one, is that it's too broad. It's bringing in information from all over the place that is sometimes sensitive, outdated, biased. It could be all kinds of problems with it because you don't know. It's going to find everything under the bed and in the closet, so to speak, of your data. And without proper data governance, which most people, frankly, don't have to that level, you're going to find all kinds of things that are inappropriate. Even us, we tried it here, and I remember James was pulling up something, I think from 2015. It's like, what the heck? We didn't even know we had that, but somewhere deep in your library deep in your system. Because see, here's where Microsoft Graph goes all over the place and grabs this stuff. That's the difference between open and targeted. Open, it can be, broader reach, but the problem is if you don't have the data governance in place and the controls, you're can run into many, many kinds of problems. And I wouldn't go in that direction until you had that well in place and well established. Whereas with our targeted data set, it's very clear. This is a particular document library with particular permissions and particular document management going on to make it so that this is the data that gets displayed and put into the Copilot to use. So here's some use cases for it. We're finding many, many possibilities. A big one is HR documents, because there's so many HR documents out there already. We worked with a city on the East Coast, 300 PDFs on HR documents. I mean, like a huge, huge, huge stack of documents. And, for both the users and the staff to find information they need was very cumbersome. They had to search through, find it, where it is, and if you ever read HR documents, a lot of them are like legalese with a bunch of like, what the heck are they talking about in here? Or reference this, and you have to write. Anyway, it's much easier with the AI, and they're finding a lot of advantage. It's very big use for the NITRO Copilot these days. Also, policies, procedures, standard operating procedures, employee guidelines, user manuals, construction, quality control, R&D, maintenance plans, quizzes, all kinds of very, very interesting things you can do with the Copilot based on your targeted data set. So here's an example, like in aged care facilities, there's what the procedures caregivers are supposed to provide, and a lot of documents and all that. So they can use the Copilot to go in and find out, in this case or in this particular set of circumstances, what is the policy, what's the procedure, what's the guidelines here. Also, we're using it for maintenance plans, where in our asset management, we have a particular piece of equipment, and you can write a 10-year plan for it. So you go out, it's able to parse out the information from the manufacturer and develop a plan based on what the manufacturer's recommendations for maintenance of that particular piece of equipment is, and write it up. Same idea with employee guidelines, user manuals, and I'll show you some of that in a minute with what we did with HR implementation. So the first thing is a little bit about the architecture. I kind of like this diagram. I don't know. It's kind of fun. You have the multiple data sources from many locations. You use the Copilot mechanics that we came up with as well. We use in tools and libraries that are out there, of course. With user engagement, that's a very big part. How do users engage with the Copilot? And then what the output could either be deliver the answer or initiate a workflow. And there's this idea of this continuous loop, feedback loop, that fosters continuous improvement of the data. You might find there's missing data, outdated data, so you go back and fix it. You have ratings, you have feedback from the users, and then you're able to continue to optimize the data and the information in there. And one thing, if we're using the Azure OpenAI service, this is from this document right here from Microsoft, data privacy document. This is a big concern, so I want to just stop on this for a moment. All the information that is used in Azure OpenAI, according to this document, is not available to other customers, not available to OpenAI for their learning, their training. It's not used to improve the models. It's not used to train foundation models. It's not used by Microsoft or any third-party services. And that's the word from from Microsoft. That's what they say, and that's what we go by. Microsoft hosts it, but it does not. The service does not interact with any other services. So what happens is you're running several Azure AI services in your Azure environment, your enterprise's Azure environment. Everything's secure in that environment. There is the Azure OpenAI, Azure AI Search Index, the Document Intelligence, services that are available in the Azure stack that we use. We help you set up, we get them going, and then you're able to be reassured, at least from Microsoft and from everything we've seen, that it stays totally within your environment. That's important. Important point, because the cybersecurity people always gets theirs, knickers in a twist there, and send out all these documents about oh, data's going to leak out and all that. And there is a reason for the caution. You know, it's not like, I don't mean to be dismissive about it. It's definitely something that is a high concern, data, privacy, and security. And we want to make sure we address all those concerns. So that's another thing that we could talk about anytime with your people. Okay, so let me show you a little bit of the architecture before I jump into the program itself. There is a SharePoint, this is a very simplistic diagram, but you know, why not? So there's a SharePoint document library. We use our NITRO Studio workflows to decide what and when goes into the Azure search index. So two things here, SharePoint library, or where it could be online, I mean, OneDrive folders, you know, a file folder, you know, that's where your documents sit. It could be all kinds of documents, you know, it doesn't matter. The NITRO workflows will run and they'll use conditions and sort of filters, you could say, to say, okay, these documents should go to the search index. Not every document. Some are in revision or draft status, or depend on the meta properties of the document. Our NITRO workflows, which are part of NITRO Studio, will decide what goes into the search index. And anytime an item document is added, modified, or deleted from the document library, that triggers a workflow that then updates the AI search index that is used by the NITRO Copilot, okay? So it's important to realize that every document in here, you can have as many documents you want, but the NITRO workflows control what is put up to the search index. So you can put it in draft mode and all that. Now, the other point of a document library is that document management is a lot easier than doing the governance that's required when you use OpenAI, you know, open data set. What you can set the permissions. One person or one small group can have all the rights to upload something. You can have a whole document management system in place, which is what SharePoint really is known for. Rules on that is that you can have a lot of control over who has access to what documents there, therefore what gets put into the search index and what gets put into the document library in the first place before it even gets to the search index. Now you can have multiple document libraries feeding one search index, each one controlled by its own workflows and permissions and all that, because you know, might have a set of documents like you know, a whole bunch of R&D documents, and you want that available as a collection, but you don't want to separate, you don't want to put all the documents into one library. So you can have multiple document libraries. Now, one point here is that, well, I'm talking about document libraries, but we can use SharePoint lists, we can use other data sources, all kinds of things to get into the search index. I'm focusing mostly on document libraries because that's what we've been doing mostly and what seems to work for most people. You know, put documents in a document library, obviously, right? So, and that's what you go by. So it's a really, this becomes your targeted data set. And there's all kinds of other ways to arrange this. You could have a search index for each library. You could have, you know, many different ways. So here, let me show you the next step after that is that once you have the search index, the NITRO Copilot has an interface. That's our Copilot, and then the users. So the idea here is that the search index sitting there is a vectorized database that's full of all kinds of information pulled from the document library and turned into what they call embeddings and, you know, certain kind of structure that the AI can read and utilize. Without getting too much into the details, it is kind of fun to dig into it sometimes, but right now it'd be another webinar, how that's all done. But the Copilot interface gives you a lot of control, the Copilot configurations of what is shown to the users and how it's formatted. I'll show you that in a moment. So the next is that you can have one search index with multiple copilots. And why would you want to do that? Well, maybe for the user interface, the user configuration, you want it very restricted just to the data in the search index. But for the staff interface, the staff copilot, you may want it to have a broader, maybe go out to, you know, OpenAI and get, you know, some information that you don't want available to the staff, you know, different use. It's a different use case, staff versus users. So there's multiple ways to set this whole configuration up with the document libraries. You can have different search indexes, you can have different copilots, very flexible system. And the idea here is that with the Copilot configurations, the Copilot interfaces, you can turn the dials very, very, you know, granularly, very, very accurately to get what you want. James has been working with prompts. You know, we're all working with prompt engineering. And each user interface, each Copilot can have a different set of prompts, a prompt, pre-prompt, prompt engineer, you're telling it, in prompt engineer, the way you're doing, you're saying to the Copilot, act this way, or provide information in this format, or do it a certain way. So it's sort of like a different characteristic, you might call it, that can be set through the prompt that sets up the style, the way the Copilot answers the questions, or the extent it goes to. This area right here of the Copilot interface and the configuration gives you a really wide range of control over what gets output and how it's output. So you can dial it up so it gets to be what is really most effective for that group that's using it. And then, like I said, you can have different configurations for different groups based on what their needs and their requirements are. And then you can always fine tune each one based on feedback and results and all that. That's quite an effective system, really, really effective. So we got the Copilot offers end-to-end solution, which is easily implemented, minimal configuration. And the other point, it integrates with our request manager and our NITRO help desk or other programs. In other words, it isn't just like answer the question. There's also actions that can be taken. And we're going to build that out. We have a couple actions going now, but we're going to build out more and more as the AI agent, agentic models come into play. We fully support it. We can use different LLMs. We use Azure OpenAI because it's Microsoft's thing, but we could use other ones. We can even mix and match, Claude 3 for this and OpenAI for that, whatever. And mobile, web, and Teams interfaces. So let's go into the demo. Practical, real uses, step, and all that. So let's go over to the demo itself, okay, of the HR Copilot. And this is where the rubber meets the road, as they say, right? So get that screen up. Okay, here we are. So this is like an example, just a demo kind of HR help desk kind of program, But most important here is we're looking at the Copilot. So up here on the screen, you have a Copilot link. Like I say, you can make different ones for users, for staff. This one's kind of generic for users and staff, just to show it that way. You could have multiple Copilots. You could have different reasons. You could have a Copilot page, a web portal page that has IT Copilot, HR Copilot, all kinds of different things like that. But this is set up this way. Let's look at this one in detail here. We have a particular interface, sits on a web page. You can have other information here. For instance, here's another example of it sitting in the middle of other web parts on the same page. It's the same web part here, the same Copilot interface with the other information here, and here it is just on its own. Two different ways of doing it. Here it depends on what you want to do. And we've had people who use this who really go into the UI and put up different colors and branding and things like that. This is pretty raw, what we're seeing right here. So let's go over to the HR Copilot right here. There's a title. All this is configurable. The title, what it says here, what colors they are, and these prompts are pre-prompts that you can decide what's going on in the back-end configuration. What you want it to have some pre-prompts here. You can have more than 4. You can have none there. You can have 8 there. Whatever number you want. Maybe what you find are the common questions that people are asking. Then there's a place where they put in their query. They say yes. Go, or they start a new chat in the chat, or they can send it to HR, which means if this doesn't answer the question, it goes over to the HR help desk in the back end, and the HR staff can take it from there. So let's look at a few of the possibilities here with this program. Okay. So, wait a minute. Get back to that screen. There we go. Okay. So you might say, what are the paid holidays at Crow Canyon? This is using a document library, by the way. Let me go over here and look at the document library it's using. Where is it? Right here, HR documents. There's a whole set of documents here. It's not really that many. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 or so documents. Let's go back there and see what's going on. Okay, these are the paid holidays as follows, right? Okay, you say, what are the dates in 2025. Because just knowing it's, when is Labor Day, for instance, right? You want to know when it is. It's telling you specific dates for the paid holidays are as follows. It's telling you exact dates. Of course, you could do it for 2026 or anything else. Also notice it's giving you the ability to copy this right here or copy the whole chat if you want. It's also telling you where in the manual it found it or what document, on what page even. You could click and go see that. You also have a disclaimer down here, which is something you can write up. We give you a default one, but you can change it any way you want in the configuration screen. So you get an answer right there. You can copy it. You can email it if you wanted to yourself. But you can also say this, if you're now that's a user getting the dates, but maybe you're an HR person and someone just asked you that question. You say, send an email to James with this information. You don't have to say like what dates are, just say what this information. So go here, click this. And okay. I think what it is, I have to generate an email. See, that's what the prompting makes a difference. Generate email to James with this information. It's not going to send it, it's going to generate it. Because what you want to do is you want to vet it before you send it. You want to make sure, that it's the right information. You don't want, until AI you get a little more confident with AI, you don't want these things going out automatically. You want to vet it. But what it did here is give you a subject. Hi, James, I wanted to share this information, kind of writes it in a friendly way. At the holidays for Crow Canyon for the year 25, below are the details and their corresponding dates. Yours truly, yada yada. So I wrote all that up for it's an HR staff. You just say, okay, generate email to James, dear James, hi James, and it gives it to you. Pretty cool. So that's like staff augmentation. That can be used in a lot of different ways. Now, when you're done with that chat, you can go to new chat and do things like this. Okay, maybe just like I need to update my emergency contact information. Okay. I don't know, maybe get common HR queries like this. Who knows? What would be fun if we do a one-on-one demo and you start to say, hey, Scott, hey, James, we get all these other questions. Can it answer this? Can it answer that? And love those kind of challenges. So, okay, to update your emergency contact information, follow these steps. Click on the file and access the form. Gives you a link here, and it's going to come up with the form, which is bogus information about me. But if it was real, it would be my ability to modify in real time without involving HR at all here, if you allow it, to update their emergency contact information. Right? Save it down here, save. Let's see. I don't know, I can change anything here. It's not worth it, but I'll just, if I saved it, it would go ahead and save it, whatever the changes were, just from getting a link right here on how to do it. So if you didn't want to provide that, you could say instructions like contact HR at crowcanyon.com to get the right form, or also you can click right here and get a contact form there. So different ways you can do it. See how we're trying to make it easy for users to get information and do what they do without involving HR unless HR is needed, or whether it's IT or marketing or other departments. I mean, please, let's imagine this isn't just HR. There's other ways, Copilot, other departments that could use Copilot ideas to get the functionality to get their job done. And we're just focusing on HR in this case. Here's another one. Let's see. It made me somebody's hugging too much. There's a hugger in this. Is hugging considered harassment? Question. And it's going to look at the policies on hugging. I always think of Hugging Face for some reason, but it's not about Hugging Face. Okay, when hugging is considered harassment, blah, 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 blah. Okay. And okay, where can I report unwanted hugging? I don't know why, it just seems like something to follow along here. I'm just trying to come up with questions people may or may not have. Your organization probably has other ones. And so if you feel it reporting, here's your reporting options, see? And there it's giving you EEOC. Oh, EEOC. CRD is the Civil Rights Division. EEOC is the Equal Opportunity. Oh, you know that. So, oh, okay, where is the nearest EOC office? And trying to think, like, would logically people go in this direction? I don't know, but just to get you a sense of where AI can help you move it along. To find the nearest EOC office, go to this website. Well, that's not that good. Well, wait a minute, guy. I am in Benicia, California, in the Bay Area. I didn't say it. Find me an office near Benicia. I said I am in Benicia, and it knows in context that the nearest one is San Francisco district office over there and there with the contact information. See how it kind of, it's cool in a way. It's pretty cool. So it went from, like, telling you the policy to how to report it to giving you where to report it, if that's what you want to do for some reason. But that's the kind of thing. And hopefully people, you can use your imagination to how useful this is, and not just these particular cases I'm coming up with, but all the range of possibilities here. Here is, how about disability? What is our disability policy? Now, all this is targeted information written by our HR lawyers. I mean, I know it too, because we got to pay them a boatload of money every year. I mean, to upload. If you live in California, work in California, have a business in California, get an HR lawyer. You need one because they change their laws every year, and there's all this and that and the other thing. Yada yada. All right, here we go. Disability policy is yada yada yada, blah blah blah. And then you say, okay. There we go. Here we go again. Generate an email to James with this information, because James was asking about it. James has a lot of questions about these, a lot of questions about HR. So we need to, deal with him as easily as possible. I don't have to write it up every time, And also, what it's doing in real time is giving you right information. Accurate information. You may have templates sitting in your HR system, but they're old. This is getting information in real time. Say it was updated in January of 2025, which is usually when the employee handbook is updated. Upload the handbook using the proper document management rules. Upload it to your document library. The workflows run because they see something's been modified or added. It goes, updates the search index, and bada bing, you have the most current information available right there. So here, James, dear James, hope this finds you well. And you can even do stuff like, if you wanted, shorten this email up a bit. Good. I never tried that, actually, so we'll see. Is it going to be shorter? I don't know. Any bets? Yeah, look at that. It cut it down some of the lines. So here's the key details about it. You can also do, I mean, if you do this enough, you start to go crazy. Say, oh, write it up like a pirate. Ahoy, James. You actually can do that, believe it or not. You can say, write the text as a pirate, or write it as Trump. It'll be, we have the greatest disability policy there ever was. There's never been a disability policy like this. Write stuff. So if you want to have fun, you can do stuff like that. I don't know if it's useful, but it's like an amazing tool. I am really amazed by it. Here's something else before, hopefully people are still really interested in this, but I think this one is cool. Write up a 5-question quiz on the employee handbook. Now, think about this. What if you had guidelines for your caregivers, right? Or staff or something like this. And you could do 10 questions, 15 questions. Let's see what it does. And here you go. Let's see what it does. Write up a 5-question quiz on the employee handbook. I don't know how it does this stuff. It's like pretty amazing. Here it goes. What is required of all new employees on immigration before they printed their work at there, right? Blah, blah, blah. Answer key. Here's your answers right here. So there you go, right? So pretty interesting, huh? I came up with that quiz right there, handbook quiz. I'm actually going to using this and sending it out to the employees, and say, hey, did you really read that employee handbook? Come on, we're gonna find out with this quiz, right? They'll say they do, right? They all said they did. They signed the paper. All right, how about the policy to bring devices to work? Right? Electronic usage, it's kind of a lot to read. Well, yeah, but what I really want to know, can I bring my iPhone? So I'm going to paste that in. I just copied it from another place. Yeah, I don't want to read all that stuff. I just want to know if I can bring my iPhone to work or not, use it for work or something like that. So let's see. Yeah, well, it tells me the uses of it and restrictions about using the iPhone and all that. Okay, good stuff. So all kind, again, we have the references, the citations, you have the disclaimer, you can copy it, you can email it, you can send, if you don't, if you want to, you can send it to HR and it becomes a ticket in the HR system. For some reason, you want to know about it. There's also Copilot feedback. You can institute rating system here if you want. I guess we didn't do that in this one, but there was a rating system. There is a rating system available and you get feedback as to what goes on. Let's see if that ticket actually got into the queue here. And again, when it comes in, there's a whole nother set of NITRO workflows that can run that an item was at. Yeah, see, was the policy for devices that Crow Canyon just got into the as a HR ticket. It came from HR Copilot, check and resolve. The work log tells you the whole work log, the whole conversation that was being had there. And you got it. There you go. You got your it went from the user asking the question to becoming a ticket, and now different workflows can run on this, or the staff can just get notified and answer the question or whatever. They may go back to the Copilot, the staff version of the Copilot, and say, okay, generate an email to James about iPhone policy, or maybe there's some standard documentation you can send them or whatever. But it definitely moves it down the needle. It moves it down the road, doesn't it? And it speeds things up. So I could go on and on about a lot of these different use cases like this. Let me pull back the covers a little here and talk about configuration of this Copilot. There is a part of NITRO Studio, part of our implementation. Well, it's really separate from NITRO Studio, but it's similar in design and look and feel. For now, we have the HR policies Copilot. There's other Copilots in here. So you go in to look at the Copilot configuration, you can see there's all kinds of ways to tweak the dials here. The title, what it looks like, what shows up, what the disclaimer text is, all the AI settings. You have your prompts where you can say, you give it like this pre-prompt. There's actually about many different ways to do prompting. Prompt engineering is a big one. We can help you with that, whether you're using this Copilot or others. It's quite a fascinating field. Then you say restrict response, indicate context relevance, all these different things. Here's the 4 pre-planned prompts you can set up, their height, their width, the icons, all that stuff. A lot of control over what's going on there, what actions are taken, available on the screen for the user to take. You can send it to HR, you can set up other actions, and we'll be expanding this to go into the agentic work too here. Create what they call orchestrators and things like that. And they set up the theme of different colors, and you can have advanced settings in JSON with different things going on in JSON. So quite a capable program, and we're building on it. We're learning as we go along from everybody using it. And I would, we at this point we're offering, we're willing to work with anybody who's out there who wants to see how something like this could be set up, as long as the organization is ready to take at least a toe in the water as far as AI goes, or jump in, whatever. And then we'll help you set up, get it going. Talk about what document libraries to use, or how to set up all these configurations and the Azure services, and get you going on it. Because we're finding enormous benefits from the people who are using it. Are finding a great reduction in the user to respond to quickly. They can use this any time of day, 24/7. And the more people use it, the better it gets. Staff can use it. We're working on things with the staff of where the staff end of things, where in the ticket itself, you can have a pane, a window pane there in the ticket where it says you run the Copilot right from the inside the ticket so that it can answer the question and send out the email from there. We're doing a lot of other things with the AI services that we provide as part of our help desk. We're coming out with it. We already have it, but we even have more enhanced version of our help desk with a lot of AI features in it already. And we're talking about the first responders, auto categorization and all that. But a big part of it, the big way to kind of get going on it is to take this Copilot approach, where you take a document library or one or more document libraries, you put a Copilot on it. It's fairly, okay, I say fairly simple because we do it a lot, but it's not really that. I mean, there's a well-known path, a well-trod path on how to do it. And then depending on what information's in there and how it's displayed, how it, you set your prompts, you set up your interface with the users. Maybe you have restricted in this case or not restricted in others, and all kinds of interesting ways to show it and where it shows too, whether it's in a SharePoint site or it's in another web page, and all kinds of interesting things. So I think what we'll do here is leave it at that. It's been about 45 minutes. I could go deeper and deeper, but I really want to encourage people, anyone. I mean, we want to talk. This is a phase where we all need to be talking to each other about where we're going with AI, what works, what doesn't. We're all learning. It isn't like well known, you go down to the store, you buy a pizza. A pizza's a pizza, right? But AI is not AI. There's a lot of different variations of it and how it's actually implemented. AI is a very broad subject, and we're not trying, we actually are introducing it in very practical, real world ways that are providing real solutions, because we come from the business process automation world. So this is a natural enhancement. As I talked about intelligent BPA, iBPA, this is a very natural segue into AI, and we're finding that it is enormously useful if done right, enormously useful if done securely, safely, with the data protections in place, the privacy protections, the guards against bias and the guardrails and all that. And it's a rapidly evolving field, and we've really made a lot of headway with the Copilot world. We know there's Microsoft, trying to own the Copilot, own the word Copilot, trying to be the be all and end all for Copilots. And of course, we love Microsoft. I have stock in it. I've worked with them for 25 years. But the point is, like, they don't own it, and there's a lot of other ways that this can be implemented. And of course, we still use Azure services and things like that. So we are using Microsoft Stack, but their Copilot front end, I don't know if somebody can challenge me on that, but I don't think it's quite. I don't know, maybe some people are finding it useful. We get really mixed reviews. So we just went ahead with our NITRO Copilot interface, very practical, targeted uses that we don't have to worry about the whole graph. We don't have to worry about the $30 a month per user. We can fine tune it greatly. We can use different LLMs. We can, a lot of flexibility there to how this is done. And eventually, and not even that long in the future, our whole NITRO Copilot thing can operate outside of the M365 stack, and the interface would show up like it's showing up here on the screen as inside your SharePoint or inside Teams. In fact, this does run in Teams. I should have shown you that, but this runs inside of Teams also. But the actual production or the what do you call it? The mechanics of it, the Copilot mechanics, as I was saying, in the data sources are outside the M365 stack. They could be other places. We have people who use databases or CRMs or other things, and they want us to use the Copilot technology to extract data, such as, here's one example, like this organization in Canada uses CRM as their patient records for, it's kind of a mental health thing. Anyway, so the point is, the patient records go back years, sometimes 20 years, and there's an enormous number of notes from the nurses and the doctors and the, everything that went on with each patient. But that data is not sitting in Microsoft 365. It's sitting in some CRM. Really, it's not CRM in the sense of customer, but in CRM in the sense of patient support, or you get my point, I hope. And so there's an enormous amount of records in there, and they want to use AI to say, okay, how many falls did this person have last year, or what was done, or what's done to prevent the fall, things like that, just to get summary without having to read through like, 10 pages of patient records and trying to figure out what the heck they're saying. It's just like Amazon reviews, right? You go to Amazon reviews now, and it might be 100 reviews of a book, and it says, or booking.com for hotels, and it says most people liked the bed was fine, but the breakfast was kind of terrible. Whatever, right? Too much noise outside, or it was easy to get to, whatever the summary is. For that hotel or that book or that product. So same idea, using it in that way for the patient records outside. So many uses. Anyway, be glad to talk to anybody more about it. James, any questions we want to deal with here?
Oh, we did have one interesting question, something we probably are blind to because we're in the sites all the time. We did have a question about how do we get rid of the navigation around a typical SharePoint site. So the waffle menu is gone, the typical top link bar is gone.
Well, they want all that disappearing on this?
Well, the question was, how do we make it happen? And it's part of our NITRO Studio tool set, which is adjunct to this Copilot.
I mean, how did we make it happen in this interface right here, right?
Yes. Yeah. So that's a whole different webinar to go into NITRO Studio, because that's a very,
James knows all about that
tool in and of itself.
Yeah. The NITRO Studio tool, which is underlying this help desk, is right here. It's we set up our forms, our actions, our workflows, our reporting, advanced approvals, and most of that is under branding. We have modern and classic branding going on, and many other tools inside of NITRO Studio. And don't get me started on NITRO Studio, James, because that'll be another hour here. That's another wonderful and great tool, many possibilities. So it's a great one. But yeah, that's what's underlying it. So the combination of our Copilot and our Studio and our experience with BPA, makes, in my mind, makes us the people to go with to move your AI journey forward. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, if you're not into AI, we also can, be doing these we're also doing these applications and many other things with besides that, big company. I mean, big, but we're decent size, and we got all these different products going. Oops, come back here. Help desk for IT, HR, purchasing, requests, service desk, asset management, co-pilots, help desk, all this stuff. And we also have the asset journey thing going on here in where is it, in Australia. That's one of our programs also, with the continuous improvement plans for the retirement and aged care facilities down there in Australia. So we learn a lot with them about what their needs are. So yeah, a lot going on here at Crow Canyon. But that's interesting that they brought up the question about that. Yeah, we're glad to work with you on the UI to get rid of the branding at the top like that. It also runs inside of Teams. So anyway, we can bring the, I guess I could show the Teams one. Why not? The Teams also has the advantage of mobile, there's a mobile interface to it. Where would it be? It'd be under Teams, I think, right, James? HR. Yeah, HR Copilot right here. So now it's running inside of Teams. See? Well, it's got the whole portal thing here. We could limit it to just this right here, but same thing, can ask the same question. How do I update my withholding? If I could type, ooh, error. Oops. No, don't look there. Don't. That didn't happen. No, it does work in Teams. All right. So are we good, you think? We got everything. Okay. Anybody wants to get more in touch with us, we'll send you an email on this. Thank you very much for joining this webinar. Hope it's been educational and useful, and showing you that there's a lot of possibilities. And small company like ours, Crow Canyon here, is we're driving forward with it and finding some really incredible uses. We have a number of pretty big organizations using it, or we're starting projects with them. So we'd be glad to get you on board and see where we can go with this. But other than that, James, we're all good on questions then, right?
Yep. All set.
All right, everyone, have a good day. Thank you. And any information, just get in touch with us at, let's get that up, sales@crowcanyon.com. Where is it? Right here. And go to the last page. Yeah, contact us, sales@crowcanyon.com. Glad to talk to you. Have a good day. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, James. Thank you, Krista.
Yep.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you all.